With winter going out and spring coming in, I get back into a daily routine here. The koi are awake and active, and filters need to be cleaned, and an overwhelming amount of other chores need to be done. Starting this place up in the spring is like pushing a big Oldsmobile down the road from a standstill. It takes a lot of effort to get it rolling, but hopefully if I can build up enough momentum, everything will be rolling smoothly by early summer. These females aren't being subtle at all in showing their interest in eating. Though I feed them year-round here in North Carolina, they have only gotten food once a week to once a month from December to March, depending on the weather. They soon get bored with me when they realize my finger food isn't so filling. So I'll feed them some pellets to regain their interest. One of my chores today is to pull up some koi and get pictures for a couple of clients. When I'm netting up koi, I keep the atmosphere as low-key and business as usual as I can. I don't chase a lot of koi or startle the whole group. I go in and net the koi I need without putting the whole pond in a panic. I do usually feed them some after I've netted up a koi, to signal to the whole group that things are back to normal now. With koi, a low-stress, calm atmosphere goes a long way. I try not to spend more than $400 on a still camera. I have a habit of dropping them in the water or dropping them on the cement. I've dropped them into mud ponds, into koi bowls, and into tanks. Cell phones don't last long around here either. This sanke shows a characteristic some call Matsunosuke Gen, the shiny appearance of many of the scales. This isn't true Genrin and shouldn't be benched as Genrin in shows. Fukurin, or a protrusion of skin between the scales, is also a genetic feature that travels with these shiny scales. They can generally be seen together on sankes like this. This is a recessive trait that shows up on a small percentage of the offspring of the sanke parent I use, though the mother nor the father have these shiny scales, both from the farm of Sakai Yamamatsu. Today I'll also be prepping a couple of fish to be shipped out. They'll get netted up and inspected and set aside in a smaller holding tank for easier access early tomorrow morning. I do as much prep work as I can the day before a shipment goes out to be sure I have no problems making the flight time. I also spend some time just watching the fish to see how it looks and how it's acting. Lucky for me, the new owner of this Nisei Showa decided to wait and let me take her to the first American Breeder Show in May. Then he'll take her on to his pond from there. This means I'll get to enjoy her here for a couple of more months. This is one of the views I really enjoy on my way to work, the sun rising in the east. The Kujaku gets packed up with a Kohaku as a traveling partner. These are both 22-month-old fish. All of the air is pressed out of the bag and it's refilled with pure oxygen, packed well for a long trip. Though these koi should be in their new pond in the Midwest within 12 hours. All koi should be double bagged for safety. The newspaper helps by blocking light, which will calm the fish. It prevents the packing tape from sticking to the bags and possibly ripping them open during travel, and it will absorb some moisture within the box. After fighting with the herons year after year, and from taking meticulous notes on my breeding seasons, I've noticed that I don't see any herons at my farm from April through June. This is consistent year to year. It's because they're nesting and raising new herons during this time in my area. Here's one of their nesting communities on an island on a lake not far from my place. The entire island ground is covered in white from years of heron droppings. While those herons are making more herons, I'm back to spring chores, repairing the bird netting. Eyes watch me from the little pools of standing water. You two should get a room. The months of March and April are spent just fixing things like this netting. Tedious little chores are spread out over the 10-acre facility. Next, the mud ponds are conditioned in preparation for new fry and for grow-out koi. A lot of little critters leave their signatures here in the mud. The ponds will be slowly filled over the next couple of months on a schedule based on the season's breeding order and on the timing I've learned over the years that works the best. Every day there's a new problem. Find it and fix it. Looks like some rodent got into this. Pipes come unglued from freezing and thawing over the winter. The old blue farm van is showing me no love. I wonder what the problem is. This old van's got over 160,000 miles on it and is just used these days for running around the farm here, hauling culls to and from the culling station and for running from pond to pond feeding the fish. It hasn't had water in the radiator for 2 years. Under the seats, you'll likely find about 30 to 40 culls, some 5-year-old chicken nuggets, and toys from several kids' meals. Maybe a tool or two that I've lost. The well pump didn't like the load I'm putting on it filling the ponds, so a new pump gets installed. As I reach over to grab some more black pipe, the pipe begins moving. I was working with 3/4 inch pipe, but this looks more like 1 inch pipe. Let's follow it to the end and see where it goes. Oh yeah, a black rat snake. We can tell it's a black rat snake and not a black racer by the white chin and underside. A black racer will have a black chin and a black underside. It's going to hold still to see if I actually see it first. My camera moving has its attention. Now it will decide if I'm a threat or not. This snake is harmless and actually a friend around here. It helps keep the mice population down. Mice tear up nets, show tanks, pipes, and koi food bags. It also helps keep the frog population down. It decides I'm not a threat and goes on its way. With the well fixed and water running again, I track down more problems and fix them as I find them. These above ground tanks are home to a lot of my pond grade koi. I don't grow this grade of koi any larger than the size you see here. With so many fish, obviously I have a lot of regular chores around here also. The above ground tanks are filtered using gravity-fed vortex systems. Even though the flow rate is high, each tank gets turned over once an hour, the piping to the filter chambers gets filled with organic growth. That slows down the flow. So a couple of times a year I flush the pipes out. I have cleanouts plumbed in for this. Remember, these are low pressure gravity fed lines, so I'm not concerned about damage or breakage from pressure. I'll also take apart the knife valves in the system to flush the pipes in those areas out. I'm amazed at how much gunk builds up within the pipes. Spotted salamanders are pretty common here in early spring. They lay their eggs in any mud ponds that are holding water in late winter. If I need to use the mud pond, I'll move the clusters of eggs to another pool, or just let them stay in any ponds I won't use until late spring. This one realizes it's in a bad place, with me in front of it and large fish behind it, and it tries to slip into a crack for some safety. The kids you hear in the background are, well, kids, baby goats. Spring brings all sorts of interesting critters to the ponds. This crawfish showed up in one of the staging tanks from the fall harvest. It lived in there all winter. The koi are saying, "Drop it, drop it, drop it!"
I enjoy watching the behavior of schooling fish. The entire group are so easily influenced by a few within the group. These tosa are excited to eat, but seem to notice the camera as something different in their view. More babies appear with the warmth of spring. This is a baby black rat snake, the same type of harmless snake we saw by the well. This beautiful patterning will change to solid black as it grows. More babies enjoying the spring sun. The males are particularly happy about spring. The food is showing up more frequently, and they know the pond next door is full of girls. It'll soon be prom time. The Sanki in the center is about 14 years old school Matsunosuke from Sakai Yamamatsu, the father of the female Sanki with Matsunosuke Gen we saw earlier.
Ready? Go. One more time. Here we go. There we go. Keep it trucking. There it is. Second side. Oh, no. Close the door.
A few days a month I get called in to do my old job. Today I'll be lighting a race truck for a promo for the Speed Channel. I enjoy this change of atmosphere, and I enjoy spending the day with friends I've known for years. A lot of my time on the farm is spent in solitude, which I enjoy too.
Hey, yeah, back it on.
Looks good. Looks good.
What's that front end?
I like the challenge of starting with basically a black room and adding specific lights in specific places to create the visual style we're looking for.
What are you going to do with these tires? Like that? Yeah, that was an expensive mistake right there.
Understanding the Kelvin scale and how light is reflected, and understanding how light influences how we view objects, surfaces, and colors has definitely helped me as a koi breeder.
I think you put it closer.
Such a big part of koi to us is how we see them. The depth of the colors, how the skin reflects or absorbs light, the 2 days of work here will result in 30 seconds on the TV screen.
Stop! Fire!
My friend Larry the Birdman called me to tell me about his pigeon swap meet this coming weekend. He asked if I'd bring a few koi to add some variety to the event. Everything Larry does is fun, so I packed some up and headed on over. Come along and we'll see what it's all about.
And these right here, the yellow ones, the albino, are Latino, and the green ones are green. Right?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even notice he was doing that. Hi, Brady. How are you? Big old fire. Wasn't it fine, wasn't it?
As a breeder, the pigeons were particularly fascinating. These birds have been bred in captivity for literally hundreds of years, and around the world. The varieties and the different looks are staggering.
Jacobins. High quality. The more the feathers cover the head, the better the quality.
I had another bird right there. Beautiful red. Beautiful red. You see these reds that they like the
This guy is feeding baby crows. I was surprised at how large these babies were.
Come on. There it goes. Thank you. He wanted 200 originally.
You were going to give it to him for it?
No, not 200. No. He's
Brady, here's the pedigree. This
99.
this bird winnings $19,798.
Wow.
Yeah, we spent it already though. We bought pigeon feed and clinkers.
We're gonna run.
Well, don't
Give
hurt
me a
yourself. Don't
call.
run fast.
Give me a call if somebody comes with some guinea hens or some crates.
Well,
Well, we're having a pigeon swap meet. I guess that's the basic name. And we invite people from all around to come in and bring their birds, excess birds, to sell and to swap with each other and to just hang around and have fellowship with each other. And we have had people from all over here today. And a really nice group of birds, and it's the nicest people in the world. You know, everybody each to his own. Some people like dogs and horses and fish and everything, but I guess we just kind of pigeon nuts. They call people dog nuts, and so I guess we're the pigeon nuts. We just like the little feathered creatures that fly, and that's really what gets us united. Larry races some birds. I fly rollers, the kind that cut somersaults in the air. Then I also have the kind of rollers that roll on the ground. Then you have just the ones that are for exhibition only.
How much would a person expect to pay for a good bird?
Anywhere from say $25 on up, and when I say on up, it can be the sky's the limit.
in the hundreds.
In the hundreds, even maybe I've even seen them for $1,000.
And how far do people drive for this sort of thing?
Well, today we had people from Canada. We had people from Vermont. Where else, Larry?
Florida,
Tennessee,
Georgia.
down in Georgia. We even had people from Monroe, North Carolina here.
And we know where that is. It's right here.
Yeah. To my sorrow, we have no actually pigeon shows in the state of North Carolina, and only one in the state of South Carolina. And that is sad, because that's another place that you gather and talk about birds, and you bring your best birds so everybody can see them. Rather than sell them, you bring them for them to see and to be judged.
After the pigeon event, I headed back to the farm to continue my spring chores. I had more mud ponds to inspect and a couple of fish up in the filter ponds to look at. Can you see what I'm checking on? Let's pull her up and take a closer look. This is simply a dead scale or damaged scale that's become infested with fungus and green algae. This is not uncommon coming out of winter and is simple to fix. I'll mix up a paste of table salt and water and brush it right onto the affected area. I'm very conservative when it comes to medications and chemicals. I won't use an anesthesia on a koi unless I absolutely have to. I'll just hold this one and swab her. I'll pull her up and do this every 2 or 3 days for a total of 3 treatments. Then I'll leave her alone for a couple of weeks and see how it looks. We can see that the salt has irritated the skin in the area that was swabbed. The skin is a little puffy and the scales are standing out slightly. After a few weeks, though, this young girl looks great. Here's another example. This Genrin Shiroitsuri has an injury on the shoulder, possibly a flicked scale from jumping or a heron strike. Fungus is growing up from the divot like a little mohawk. I put her in a tub with just enough water to cover the gills, and I'll just swab her as she swims around. The fungus and algae are dissolved by the salt paste immediately. This can be done in the winter also. The fish may not heal well in cold water, but you can at least keep the fungus at bay until the water warms and the koi's metabolism increases, and healing can begin. Now that it's cleaned out, I can see the divot well. It's a little irritated, but no real infection. It should heal nicely. After 3 good swabbings and some time, she's looking better. Now that spring is here, we'll get her to put on some weight too.